Please, June. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The time is 4 o'clock.
Roll call. Chairman Benjamin Peña.
Here.
Vice Chairman Gerardo Gonzalez.
Present.
Treasurer Frank Orozco Jr. Secretary Ana O'Quinn. Board Member Dr. Joe Hinojosa.
Present.
Board Member Antonio Bernus.
Here.
Board Member Commissioner Brian Martinez.
We have a quorum.
Next item, public comment period. There was one comment registered, Chairman. Mr. Vela?
Yep. Come on up, introduce yourself for the
Thank
public,
you.
and welcome. You have 3 minutes.
It's hard to condense 30 minutes into 3 minutes, but I'm going to do it. My name is Rafael Vela. I am the Chief Executive Officer for Workforce Solutions Cameron. We are responsible for everything workforce for the region. And my purpose today is to acknowledge the 4A allocation for the Workforce Center located on Old Alice Boulevard, which occurred in the fall. I'd invite you to pause and recognize how much effort that took. Coordinating a purchase like this across 4A, 4B, the city, and the county was complex, and it didn't happen by accident. The fact that it did come together tells us that there was real shared focus on doing what matters most for the people that we serve. And the board and your predecessors is certainly deserving of recognition. Your willingness to work through challenges, ask hard questions, and stay solution-oriented made a real difference in getting this across the finish line. So know that Old Alice is one of our workforce centers across the county it's more than just about walls. Year after year, it's been a place where people come looking for what's next, a job, new skills, childcare, even a fresh start back into the workforce. It's also where local employers come to connect with talent. Whoever you are, whatever you're looking for, whatever you walk through that door, our door is open and everybody is welcome. By the way, we're on track to provide service for upwards of 15,000 people this year alone. So I'm aware that Texas meeting rules require a one-way conversation today. That said, I want you all to know that my door is always open. We'd always welcome the opportunity to come back and share regional insights on our workforce, the services that we provide, and the senses of who we served. If the board is inclined to be given exposure to everything workforce, our team is ready to do so. We are the official repository. From what our labor market looks like to what employment rates are and so on and so forth. That's what we do every day, and it's an area where we can be a real resource to the board. I also want to recognize Gilbert. Really, right about the time that he stepped in, he offered direct and sobering realities. And that perspective really shifted the conversation and opened the door to a different way of thinking and ultimately led to a creative solution, bringing together funding from 4 different entities. That kind of thoughtful insight made a real difference in how this all came together. So there's a lesson in there, Gilbert. I appreciate the opportunity to share a few thoughts today. I know our team is eager to work alongside Gilbert and the terrific 4A team, the board, and to see what we can create together in this space from a programmatic standpoint. We take that responsibility seriously, and we're focused on making sure that the 4A investment made here delivers real, meaningful results. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item, consent agenda items. Consideration and action, if any, on the following items. 1.1, approval of the minutes of the March 10, 2026 regular board meeting and April 1st, 2026 special board meeting. 1.2, ratification of payments issued in March of 2026.
Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented, unless anybody wants to pull out a particular item from that agenda? Not, can I have a motion?
So motioned.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, staff reports. Governmental affairs update, marketing and communication, business recruitment, and executive report.
Sorry, I think we.
No. Number 2? The ratification of payments?
Okay, what was that?
The governmental affairs update number 2?
We're gonna do a quick update.
But you're asking for 1.2.
No, we already voted, had a motion on that one, right?
Yes,
Chairman?
that was together under the consent item, but, so we went on to number 3, not 2?
2, governmental affairs update, marketing and communications, business recruitment, and executive report.
Okay. Item number 2, governmental affairs. Mr. Obel.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, board members. I wanted to provide a very brief explanation of some of the recent trips to Austin, Texas, the Texas Capitol. Starting on April the 8th, so my colleague Giovanna and myself headed to Austin, and the strategy at this point is to plant those seeds because there will be a time where there will be work before the legislature that impacts the organization. So it's important to establish some of these relationships specifically because they just reapportioned the Senate Committee on Economic Development, and they will reapportion the committee in the House, the Trade, Workforce, and Economic Development Committee. Now, on the 8th of April, Giovanna and I met with the office of Chairwoman Angela Paxson. She's the new chairwoman of the Committee on Economic Development. We met with the chief of staff, just went in, said hello, and let her know that at some point we would come back and give her a more detailed brief on some of the things that are happening with Greater Brownsville. So she welcomed us and was excited to hear about all the wonderful things that are happening. We checked in with Senator Alvarado office once again. We had a very lengthy meeting with the House member, and that's Chairman Oscar Longoria. He sits on the House Side Economic Development Committee, but he's also he's the chairman of the subcommittee on workforce, which is extremely important. And I think I mentioned last report that we met with Speaker Dustin Barros himself here in Brownsville at a reception. The highlight of the day for us that day was meeting with the Texas Space Commission, and that is with the Executive Director Norman Garza, who I have a great relationship with. He used to work for Texas A&M and government relations, so I did a lot of work over the years with him. We had a phenomenal meeting, exchanged some information, had great ideas for us to consider, and provided great guidance. At some point, my colleague and I will join notes and we'll have a full report about our meeting with him. But that was extremely crucial to have that meeting that day with him. On just Monday, on the 13th, we also went back to the Capitol. We had some scheduled meetings. The first one we had is with the governor's office, and we met with Mr. Robert Howden, and he's a legislative director for the Texas governor. I also have a great relationship with him, worked with him over the years on many projects. And the chairman, the vice chair, Gilbert and Jerry, we were up in Austin. That meeting was very good because at some point we'll have to get in front of the chief of staff and in front of the governor to discuss in detail more of the work that Greater Brownsville is doing. We had a meeting with Mr. Buddy Garcia, who's a consultant or lobbyist, represents America's First Refinery. We kind of met with him to just exchange information and figure out how can we help each other. The highlight of this past Monday, that day, was a meeting that we had with the Lieutenant Governor's office, which is sometimes difficult to do because they're extremely busy. We met with Mr. Daryl Davila. He is the Chief of Staff for the Lieutenant Governor. We provided a brief. I think Gilbert did a good job. The board members did a good job in chatting with him about some of the stuff that he's doing. He hasn't been here in a while, so we asked him to consider coming here and visiting, and we can showcase more of the work that's being done. And finally, the Gilbert and Jerry and the board also met with, we passed again and talked to Laura Stowe over at Chairwoman Angela Paxson's office, and they met with her directly. What I will say finally is that there are some key legislative offices. And so, some of those would be the governor's office, lieutenant governor's office, and the speaker. We've actually met with all three within the last 30 days. We met with the speaker himself, and at some point we'll get in front of the governor and the lieutenant governor. There's 5 members there's 5 senators that make up the Senate Committee on Economic Development. We've already met with 3. And then there's 11 members of the Trade, Workforce, and Economic Development in the House. And so far we've only met with 1 because their work schedule is very different from the Senate. And so we plan to visit with the Chairman, Oscar Longoria, who also represents a section of Brownsville. We'll meet with him within the next 30 days, and we'll also give him a deep brief. Lastly, I'll say that every single time we've gone to the Capitol, we're checking with our own delegation, and that is Senator Adam Hinojosa, Representative Gomez, Representative Longoria, and Representative Lopez. We go and say hello, just passing by. We haven't set up any meetings with them yet, but at some point we will. But it's important to have those relationships. At a future time, I'll come back and I'll kind of bridge everything together while we're making these connections, while we're making these visits, and it's going to all come together, which is going to help to advance the priorities and objectives of this organization in Austin. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Next item, Marketing and Communications by Marcela Sainz.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Board.
Good afternoon.
So as part of my global engagement and investment efforts, I attended the Site Selectors Guild Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. And 50 of the top site selector consultants in the world were present. It's one of several different conferences that they hold throughout the year, and they basically get together and they talk about trends. They talk about what's changing when it comes to, being a site selector and helping companies locate in different places. And we had access to so many interesting panels, and I heard about all these different trends and what they pay attention to, what's important to them, how they avoid dealing with certain communities or prefer to work with other communities, because at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that they provide their clients, the companies, a good experience. So I'm feeling very confident that Brownsville is positioning itself as a community that's open for business, and that's very important. Also, while there, I connected with specific site selector consultants that focus on our target industries, because there's all kinds of site selectors, right? And so right now I'm following up with the ones that focus on those target areas of ours to make sure that we get them information about Brownsville. And here's some of our work for marketing, communications, and PR this last month. Some media stories. We keep getting requests for interviews, and also have been working on developing the branding for Rally in the Valley. That's coming up next week. Very excited for that. We hosted mixer for UTRGV for they had a manufacturing event that was day one in Brownsville, day two in Edinburgh. And basically we were the organization that they partner with to host that end of the day mixer. And they also handed out some awards for people in the manufacturing industry. And last but not least, here are a few social media posts from the last month.
Any questions from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stein. Next item, business recruitment by Jerry Briones.
Yes, hello and good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, board members. So we did have a very busy month. From the governor's office, we received 8 RFIs. We did submit one for industrial park. We had 8 international leads. These leads were from as far away as Dubai and also from Mexico as well. So on the regional side, we had an additional 8 meetings that took place. And one of the things that is going on, and I think, you know, Marcela alluded to it, is that we are starting to see our city taking off. So we are getting calls that, hey, you know what's going on in Brownsville? We want to be there. Some of the projects that we're working on with the port as well, there's some tag-along projects that are also looking at that and saying, hey, you know what? If they're going to be there, why? So this project from Dubai was one. The President's Initiative on Maritime Plan is also gaining a lot of traction. So there is quite a bit of interest from really from all parts of the U.S. and some parts of the world as well. So we are in a good position, and we are still meeting with some of these leads. In fact, we've got about 3 site visits planned for the next couple of weeks. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Briones. Next item, executive report by Gilberto Salinas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Following up on what Jerry said, yeah, there's a lot of activity, especially on the international side. Going back to last month, the mayor's State of the City, it was interesting, or it was good to see he provided an overview on our projects, our different projects. Actually, the first part of the show was about that. And from 2025, that totaled to nearly $200 million in capital investment, upward of about 600 plus jobs, and those are direct primary jobs, high value add jobs. Then he provided a glimpse on the major project that we've been working with both the port and Cameron County, that is Project Hercules. That's one of the projects that we consider one of significance. It's game-changing, it's transformational. One, as he mentioned, that will create 10,000 jobs over the next 10 years with a $3.2 billion in capital investment. And then at the post-event dinner, we had an opportunity to say a few words as well. We followed up with a fresh lead that we had just gotten a week before the actual event. We had been contacted by another project that falls in that category of transformational. So as a result of that lead that we mentioned at that dinner, we met with this new prospect. This was in Houston. We actually met with 3 entities in Houston. And then just last week, that particular project came to visit us. They toured the city, the Port of Brownsville, SpaceX, and they met with our leadership. Actually, our chairman was in that meeting as well. And very similar to a Project Hercules, and there is actually a tie to Project Hercules. This will require everybody here in the region to pull together to make a project like this one happen. The port, the county, and the governor's office, and ourselves, which are the 4 main drivers, as well as working with our training partners. And again, part of what we do is bringing all those different players to the table. It's a project with the potential to create an additional 5,000 to 6,000 jobs. This is another project in the maritime industry, advanced manufacturing. And what was interesting is they were very keen on the Greater Brownsville Tech Park as far as developing an ecosystem of suppliers. No pun intended, but a landing pad for the different companies that would be following their major prospect. So again, very preliminary, but it's interesting to see how, I think you've heard me say how big fish draws other big fish. This is a prime example of that, where the Project Hercules is already helping pull another huge project with it. So as Mr. Obel had mentioned, in preparation for these projects that we have in the pipeline, we're at the Capitol this week. Actually, this was on Monday, meeting with different legislators. Both Chairman Peña and our Vice Chair, Gerardo Gonzalez, were with us at the Capitol. A member from Senator Hinojosa's office was also joined us for a couple of those meetings. And again, it's an opportunity for us to provide our narrative as far as the projects that we have, our top projects, as well as some of the challenges that we may have, and how everything is coming together. Actually, Mr. Obel mentioned that, is how to bridge everything together. And one of the things that he's referring to, and by the way, meeting with Governor Abbott's office, as well as the Lieutenant Governor and the Speaker of the House within a 30-day period, that is pretty phenomenal. I myself have never done that until this time around. But in bridging it all together, that is a model that was used back in the SpaceX days. We did a lot of visits to the Capitol. Obviously, he was very involved, Senator Lucio's, Representative Lucio, Oliveira, and a lot of people were involved in making that project happen. And that's just one leg of the 10-legged stool that I like to refer to as, where at the legislative front, we have to be up there knocking on doors, presenting these projects, because when that opportunity comes up, they've already been informed and they can come in and help. In closing, this morning, we presented to Leadership Class 41. We provided a Economic Development 101, how it works, what it all means, our role in the community. And one of the things I like to say is twofold. One is we foster the growth of the community, and we import dollars. That's the difference between us and everybody else, is that our task is to bring new money into the community. We covered some of our recent successes, went through our projects, and of course, it's until you present to a different group, everything that you have going on, it's when it kind of hits you like we're operating at a very high level. But I left them with this, that we also, when we were in Houston, we met with a consul from a foreign consul from the other side of the world with offices in Houston. And he said, our richest entrepreneur in our country has announced that he will be investing in Brownsville, Texas. I'm getting phone calls from all other rich people in my country wanting to invest in a Brownsville, Texas. So You're here today, talk to me about Brownsville. I know nothing about Brownsville. And what I told the group was, that is a far cry from 10 years ago when we'd go into the boardroom of a Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 company and start trying to pitch Brownsville. And right out of the gates, they were asking questions about security, immigration, so on and so forth. And just again, we're on the border. And what I told them is, we're already in a hole trying to climb our way out of that hole to present a positive image of Brownsville. That is not the case today. Today we walk in and now they're like, well, case in point, the consul's asking us to go in and talk about our community because there's a demand for that. And that's a testament to what this organization, the city of Brownsville, and our different partners in the community have done over the years in working these projects. And that's where we are today, and I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in the future. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Thank you, Gilbert.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Next item, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a contract with Development Counselors International, a New York-based economic development firm specializing in marketing, public relations, and site selector outreach, presented by Marcela Sainz.
Hello again. So
Gilbert, are you going to present item number 6?
She's going to do a presentation, and then I'll come in and
Okay.
present that at the end.
Go ahead.
So let me give you a little bit of context as to the work that we've been doing with this agency in the past. This is a marketing and public relations agency that focuses on economic development clients and tourism as well. They work with other cities for that. So last year, we worked with this company, DCI. They're out of New York and Denver. And basically, the first year, what they did for us is they did perception studies. They did all the research needed to be done in order for us to know how we need to market Brownsville for investment. And so they conducted 2 different studies. One was with locals. We had a survey and we asked people for their perception of our own community. And then there was another one for people from outside of Brownsville. We selected 5 or 6 different markets that are, far away from here. And like, okay, so what do people know about us? Would they come work here? Maybe if they had the opportunity. And so we have all of that work already done. And after that, they've modeled different ideas, and there's endless possibilities as to the campaigns that we can do to attract investment with that research in mind. Now, that research process, they also came to our community. We hosted them for a few days, and they visited different companies, met with some of you, I think, as well. And so by now, they know us really well, and they have identified what our needs are and where the opportunities are at. That first year was basically just to lay the foundation and do the first round of work that needed to be done. We also looped them in, for example, with our name change and things like that. And so after that first year, now we're ready to start implementing different things. So also part of the things that were included that first year is they helped us put together an advisory board. And it was 4 different site selector consultants that would meet with us in private, basically, and have And I mean in private, like not at a conference, right? Like they would dedicate an hour and a half to us and just give us their input on different things that we wanted to implement. And like, okay, how is that perceived by them? Would this be helpful or not? Best practices, et cetera. So that work is already done. Right now, we're at the point where we need to start implementing. And we have been doing it already, but all the research work, we don't need to do that anymore. That's the point that I'm trying to get across. So in the year ahead, we are trying to expand beyond the PR work because they have been pitching stories about Brownsville to the media as well. And so we're trying to do more than that, more than just pitching stories and the advisory boards for the site selectors. We're trying of different digital strategies to attract investment, and I'll get into that right now. All right, so our PR work won't really change. We want to continue positioning Brownsville as an economic engine. And here are some of the services that they will continue providing for us. And it's basically strategic media council, strategic storytelling, and basically they're the ones that brainstorm for us and help us come up with different ideas. They would be helping us with press release distribution because they have access to national and international media. They help us also, sometimes we're not necessarily pitching a story, but we need to build a relationship with a media outlet, and they're very good at that as well. Just setting up meetings, discovery meetings to see if there's interest there. And also, crisis communications, doesn't mean that there needs to be a crisis, but we need to be ready to respond to different scenarios. And another thing that we will keep doing is our site selector engagement. They provide a location advisor database with contact information for all the different site selectors in their industries. And also they create newsletters for us and they send them out with relevant information. If there's properties in Brownsville, if there's something happening that they think would be of interest to these consultants. Now, what we want to add this year, and it's not adding to the cost, it's just since we don't need to do the research anymore, it now allows us to do other things. So we want to work on enhancing our website, and it would basically, they would conduct an SEO audit for us and put together a strategy. They will optimize existing content on our website, how to rephrase things to grab the attention of the search engines to position us, first over other websites. And also, they would be working on foreign direct investment website enhancements. Why? Because different countries have different rules when it comes to data privacy and all of that. So we need to make sure that we look professional enough when we share a website with different markets. If we ever decide to do a digital campaign, for example, and then we link it to our website, we want for people to be able to access it immediately. And also they would be working on translation services for us. We get to choose which languages we want to prioritize. Another thing is also the analytics and reporting. They would be putting together a digital dashboard for us that we can just log in and see how we did on all fronts on our website. And I think that's it for the scope.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, what you have in front of you is a proposal for $240,985, which is slightly above what we did last year. And that is for the entire marketing program, which is what I call placement marketing, which at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're selling Brownsville. for inbound investment. They do a lot of editorial placement, which is they speak to major trade publications, New York Times, Wall Street Journals, to get proactive business articles printed about the Brownsville area. And we've had several of those that we reported over the last year. One of the big ones was Port of Brownsville was prominently featured in Forbes magazine. Bill Dietrich was there, and they took up a lot of space in the one publication. And again, that was through their efforts in promoting the Brownsville region. Obviously, SpaceX is a big one. And then the other one is a site selection engagement. And you all have been in some of the events where we've hosted site selectors. We've hosted more than 24 site selectors. And as a result of that, it's one, getting higher visibility for organization amongst the people who make decisions for Fortune 1000 companies as to where they're going to go. And out of that, we're engaging with 5 different projects, one of which hopefully will turn into a deal here in the next few months. So again, it's the long game, but it's marketing and what I like to call placement marketing.
Any questions from the board?
I do, just real quick. I noticed that the way that they bill is a blended hourly rate. And we basically pay a retainer every month. Just want us to be real conscious that we're looking at the billings, because there seems to be a lot of opportunity we're being charged for SEO content optimization. What I don't want to find out is that one of those bills, whether we're billing against a retainer, which theoretically should only be used for other non-SEO stuff. It's
Correct.
So please be very conscious when we're looking at those invoices that something else we paid for separately, for example, routine client communications, is not being billed up against the retainer that we pay. So just please keep that in mind.
Okay. Salvador is pretty good about that. Keeping us on check.
Yeah, I
sure.
mean, looking at you. So, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I had a quick question.
On the newsletter, how? Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead, Renato, it's fine.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Is this like a renewal or is this a new contract? I keep hearing you all refer back to.
It's renewal.
It's a renewal. And I'm just curious, the contract, I didn't see it in the packet. Is that something that you usually share with us, or we don't see that?
We can make it available. Absolutely.
And last, if it's just a site that I see, the dollar amount isn't on the agenda item, just for like transparency purposes. Is that something that we could maybe put into practice for the future?
Absolutely, we can. Good point.
Thank you all. That's all.
Okay, so just on the services, on the newsletter, who's reviewing? Are they proposing the newsletter or are we proposing the ideas on the newsletter?
We did it last year, and they report back with analytics and how well the newsletters are doing. And it's something that we think it helps us stay in their inboxes, in the site selectors' invoices. And it gives us, it's not every month, it gives us an opportunity to announce big projects directly to them as well.
No, I am all for the newsletter. Do they draft the newsletter or do
Yes,
we draft the newsletter?
They do it,
They do it.
yes.
And then the question is, do we tell them the content that they have to have it and they just prepare it for us? And then how often are we gonna do it in this cycle?
So they send us a first draft with their ideas. This is what they think would work best. And then we get to review it ourselves. We make comments sometimes. And after that, they distribute it themselves. And how often? We're doing every other month.
We're gonna try and do it 6 times a year?
I'm sorry?
It's every other month, so we're gonna try and do it every 6 months. 6 months 6 times during the year.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the webpage, we just did the webpage, so I mean, the enhancements that we're doing are specifically in what sense? Because we The SEO?
SEO.
Okay.
Marcela, quick question on the search engine optimization. Does that include a component of the artificial intelligence? Or is it all the traditional legacy search engines that are out there?
No, they actually did mention that they are actually now working around how in the past you used to, let's use, I don't want to use a specific search engine, right? But you would put something in your search tab, and then you would get all the different websites listed. But today, it goes one step above, and now you get a description. So now you get an AI suggested, description of what you're Googling or Yahooing or whatever you're doing, right, with your search engine. And so now they need to be mindful of what links are those search engines grabbing when they describe a project or Brownsville. So yes, they're already thinking, they already know about that and they're working at that level.
Because there's a big difference between Google search engine and let's say like ChatGPT, right, which is an AI engine. So if you were to go to ChatGPT and enter economic development in South Texas, right, you'd get a bunch of content based on whatever the artificial intelligence engine is going out to search. And that is optimized by the content that's on our website, articles, publications, links to our website. And so I'm just wondering that particular aspect of search engine optimization is specific to the artificial intelligence engines that are out there. And there's several, of course. Right?
Yes, so I'll follow up with them just to ask, when it comes to like ChatGPT specifically and other AI, how does it work?
Because we need to.
I just searched it and, we don't even appear in the top 10.
In ChatGPT,
Yes.
not good,
There's a problem.
Marcela.
All right.
Any other questions from the board? Not, can I entertain a motion to approve agenda item number 6?
So like, type thing.
So motioned.
Now a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sain. Next item, discussion, consideration, and acknowledgement of the Greater Brownsville EDC financials and quarterly investment report presented by Salvador Villalpando.
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. Today we'll be going over the financials halfway into the fiscal year, as well as the quarterly investment report. Starting off with the financials, with the balance sheet specifically, net position is at 36.2 million, which consists of 36.8 in assets, which is broken down into the following: 363,000 in cash, 17.75 million in investments, 591,000 in receivables, which is the sales tax for the month of February, and 18.1 million in assets. Liabilities are at 587,000, which are mainly consisting of accounts payable at 162,000, and then we have 375,000 in retainage, which is related to activity at the Tech District year to date, which is a 5% retainage. Next slide, please. On here, we have the budget to actuals comparison through the month of March. Revenues are at 3.85 million. Sales tax is at 3.4 million, and we'll dive deeper into the sales tax in the next slide. Interest, 454,000. Sponsorships, 1,250. And miscellaneous revenues, $248. Total expenditures year to date are at 12.57 million, with 2.2 million in operating, 340,000 in contractual commitments, and about 10 million in initiatives coming mainly from construction at the Tech District for phase 1. On here, we have a sales tax comparison through the month of February. Collections specifically for the month of February were high at 595,000, which is about a 12.2% increase compared to February of the previous fiscal year. Year-to-date collections, as mentioned, are 3.4 million for the first 5 months, which is about a 5% increase. And that increase amounts to about 8.2 million in collections for the full fiscal year. And then for context, we budgeted 8 million for the full fiscal year. Lastly, we have the quarterly investment report. GBIC's portfolio through the month of March is at 18.1 million, with 2% of the portfolio being in demand deposits and 98% being in investment pools. The majority of the funds are in the investment pools, which yield a higher interest rate. Texas Fit is at 3.91%, Texas Class 3.54%, and Tex Pool at 3.67%. The weighted average maturity for the portfolio is 19 days, which is essentially translates to it being liquid. And then lastly, the weighted average yield for the portfolio is 3.57%, which in comparison to the 3-month Treasury bill as of March 31st at 3.61% basically translates to it performing well for the first quarter of calendar year 2026. That concludes the presentation. If there's any questions.
Going back to the budget, the budget. We're back,
I think it's the second slide, maybe.
There we go. We're in April and we're at 60% of our budget utilized. Are we gonna have to reconsider and redo our budget?
Yeah, so this is through the month of March 6th, halfway into the year.
Oh, okay.
Ideally, we want to be at 50% for most of these categories. I will say for initiatives, it shows 64%, but these are not necessarily recurring costs. They might be one time compared to operating, where we're at 52%, which is more consistent to a month-to-month activity.
I imagine a lot of those large costs are related to the park.
That's right, yes, sir.
And usually historically, at least in our field in economic development, the spring is pretty heavy as far as expenditures. Then you hit somewhat of a plateau in the summer, and then fall, you'll have another little spike.
Any other questions? I have a motion to accept the Greater Brownsville EDC financials and quarterly investment report.
Motion to accept.
Can I have a second? Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Villalpando. Next item, closed session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, 551.074, 551.072, and 551.087. 8.1, update on economic development projects. 8.2, project industrial. 8.3, project industrial. Project nose wheel. 8.4, project train, and 8.5, project life.
Motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're in executive session. It is 4:45. Can I have a motion to come out of executive session?
Make a motion.
Can I have a second? Can I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. We are in open session. The time is 7:06.
Chairman, if we could take these items from executive session in order, 9.1, no action. 9.2, Commissioner Martinez abstained, and I would request the board for a motion to authorize CEO to spend 250,000 to mobilize 30,000 cubic yards for areas 4 and 2 of the GBIC Tech Park, and the hauler will be MRS Trucking.
Got a motion to that effect.
I make a motion.
Have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
For item 9.3, Chairman Peña, Director Orozco, Director Gonzalez, and Commissioner Martinez abstained, and I would request a motion to direct CEO to proceed as directed in executive.
I make the motion.
I second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
For item 9.4, authorize up to, a motion to authorize up to 160,000 funding request to Texas Southmost College for a pipe fitters training program.
Can I have
I
a
make
motion to
motion.
that effect?
So moved.
Motion.
Second, I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
And for 9.5, a motion to authorize a $300,000 funding request to VITA for training in high-demand occupations for low-income Brownsville residents.
I make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Is there any further business? There being none, may I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.